so much, Maggie. Thanks everyone for being here. So I know you all are preparing for a Miami pop-up, and I was trying to think when as I was preparing for this talk today, what's the first time that I used technology? In fact, I'm a painter and had never really used technology in my art. And the first time was actually in 2012 when I did my very first performance here in DC and in Miami. I was during the Art Basel Miami 20 December 2012, and I was in the Art Asia Miami fair, and I did this performance called Indelible Scent. It was a bed performance, but I was in the bed with my iPhone, and it was the most incredible thing. I read these books. I was in the bed for hours reading books by women, a lot of banned books, and then people had my cell phone number. It was given out to the crowd, and people could text me and asked me what I was doing, what I was thinking, what I was reading, and I would send them passages from the books I was reading. And I read a lot. There were some of the books I read were in Bengali, but I would translate them and send them passages. And it was a really interesting performance, I think. In fact, it ended up in the Miami Herald and the Basel blog. I also cut all these onions as part of the performance. So anyway, just wanted to take you all back to Miami because that's when it happened. My first use of technology in my art. At the same time, 2012, my art is actually quite low tech, most of it. I'd also launched this project called Storytelling with Saris, which is an eco-feminist project looking at women's empowerment and climate resilience with 12 women from my ancestral village, a little island in Bangladesh. And most of the work and it's an island that's off the grid. I mean, and they don't have electricity or running water even. So, and the work that we have been doing together since then, a lot of it is printing by hand on hand woven saris. It's an ancient technique using wood block, using mango wood that goes back centuries. But I have to say, technology also entered my work there because I was documenting them, right? It's a little map showing where the island is, Borobash, the island in the Bay of Bengal, southern, that long island there. The village is called Katakali. I always mention my mother, my grandmother, my foremother. She was born on the island. She was married at age 7, but she was very resilient and made sure that her children, none of them had child marriages. And she was swept away by cyclones, the painting about that, but she survived. She was a survivor. She was found 2 days later on another island. She lost her 2-year-old baby, but she survived and continued to do a lot of good work in the community. In the island, I actually learned technology from them. They taught me about solar energy. When I went to the island, the last leg of the journey was on a little fishing boat. I noticed this little solar panel on the fishing boat. See that? They're using a solar panel to use light. And we didn't really have solar panels all over the place like we do now then, back in 2013. And then I also noticed one of my collaborators, Juleka, her house, her little shack has a solar panel on it. And I asked them about it and they said, oh, Appa, you don't have one? Sister, you don't have one? And I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God, here I am, this, comparatively very wealthy person, and I don't have a solar panel and they do. So I came back to the US and immediately started looking into this. And they told me how much money they spent on it. They spent a third of their monthly income on their monthly payments for that solar panel. After 3 years, they would own it. So I came back here and researched it and realized that I should really spend a big chunk of my income on trying to get green energy. And I did. And I started doing solar sari salons with my neighbors. And it was like these art and solar energy talks that I would give. And a lot of people started either installing solar panels or like switching to like green energy providers. So that's another interesting thing. And also all the video and audio documentation that I did on the island, we used solar energy. We never used a generator. We used battery powered devices that would be charged with solar energy. And then when I came back to the US, I created my first video installation. It was a 3-channel project. And it was amazing. You could hear the women talking about their lives and climate change, and each woman got equal time, 12 different looping stories, and we projected on the saris. So we used this traditional material to show this new media work. And then I've continued since then in low tech and high tech in my work. Last 2019, I started making saris with people in America starting in 2015, and having people here and in Europe make saris with me around a table and learn about climate change in the process and make climate pledges to reduce their carbon footprint. And then I used 65 co-created saris for this big installation in Anacostia, DC. We also had a sound component. We had a soundscape that was playing on the streets. We also had slideshow going inside, but I started thinking then I would really love to do, projections on saris outdoors, like large scale. And I started thinking about that. I also did a project in Italy, a couple of images from the Contemporary Art Museum in Italy. And so my next project, Warming Waters, I decided to collaborate with Robin Bell, who's a video and light artist, and he does a lot of projections about climate change and other important topics all over DC and the world. Huh? Sorry, I'm hearing someone. So we started working on this project, Warming Waters, which was going to have, we were going to have 22 saris in the Georgetown Canal, and then we were going to project at night on the saris the bodies and images of the people working on the saris. And the idea was like really, bring the work, the performance onto the saris. But this was, we started making the saris in December, January, February. And then February 2020, we were finishing up saris in Bangladesh and in Washington. And then the COVID pandemic hit, right? And we couldn't do any more workshops. So we had to switch to Zoom. I did my very first Zoom workshop, Zoom art workshop in April 2020. It was good, but it was hard. I mean, I had a sari on my dining table, and I had to do all the physical work myself. People would tell me what to do, and I did it. It was a very cool sari. We had our first quarantine sari, but I realized a lot of people also couldn't join because they didn't have Zoom, they didn't have internet. That year, we were not able to have our installation. It was supposed to be an Earth Day installation on the Georgetown Canal. My permit from the National Park Service was suspended. And the DC Commission on the Arts, who I had the grant from, said I couldn't do it anywhere else. They didn't want any crowds. They didn't want any people coming to see stuff. So we decided to go virtual. We basically decided to do it all online. We were going to simulate the installation. So we did this pretty cool thing, actually. I think Wendy, I see on here, some people saw it. A lot of people saw it. 3,000 people saw it around the world. We did this whole live stream on Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, and Vimeo. And we did it at noon so that people could watch it. It'd be night in Bangladesh. It was actually pretty amazing. And I learned that because of the pandemic, I really, had to embrace this live stream technology, which I had never used before, and Zoom. Eventually, we stored the actual saris and waited for the things to open up in DC. Eventually, in July last year, we were allowed to have the actual installation, and we decided to spend a chunk of the budget, redirect it toward live streaming, so that a lot of people weren't going out, in July, and people that aren't from far away were not going to take the metro. And we could only have 50 people per night watching it under guidelines. So we live streamed it. We live streamed every night. We spent a lot of money on, good cameras, good live streaming, and it was fantastic. So we all, people saw it around the world. We also had people gathering in DC. But I learned also that, I was really cognizant of the fact that a lot of people that used to come to my, workshops in person, weren't coming. And it's, how can I engage people? How can I stay engaged, on climate justice and racial justice, all the things that are, becoming more and more highlighted during the pandemic, right? How can I stay connected with this community that I've built during the pandemic? So I decided that I would do a series of Zoom workshops, and I would focus more on poetry than the visual art, because that's something you can do like online. And I applied for a grant that included technology equity as part of the grant. So I got some funding to give people Zoom training, to give people internet, and give people tablets. And it was really great. It really helped, and it was so gratifying. I had several senior citizens who didn't have internet, have never had internet, who live in DC, who now have internet, who now have tablets, and we taught them how to use Zoom. A lot of young people also don't have enough means to pay for internet, or don't have smartphone or tablet. So a lot of people were able to join that had sort of dropped out. So this is the project is called Concrete Dreams. It focuses on concrete poetry, which is a visual poetry. When you put poetry in a shape, it becomes concrete poetry. So we've done a number of workshops, one a month. It's been really great, a space to come together. We've done a little bit, we do a little meditation or breathing in the beginning. It's a healing space. And we've been talking about really difficult issues. We did a workshop on January 14th all about 1/6, the Capitol riot insurgency, and how do we feel about this country and what's happening and democracy and white supremacy. So a lot of that poetry has been done and drawing has been done on Zoom, and now we're going to transform them into art on saris, into projections. Um, Concrete poetry projected onto the building. It's going to be at the DC Arts Center. I hope you all can join. It's going to be May 20th to 23rd. And we're also doing, Robin Bell and I are doing another Earth Day talk. We had so much fun last time that we're doing a Storytelling with Saris Earth Day event. We're going to premiere a new film about our collaboration. And I hope you all can join. It's going to be online. So that's all. I know that we have a lot of speakers today. Just wanted to focus on some of the technology aspects of my work. Those are my handles and websites, and one of my a new book that I have out about my work. So thank you all. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Monica. This is amazing. It's always such a pleasure to hear about all of your work. I'd like to open up the floor for any questions, but before I ask for any more, I had one that I wanted to ask you. I always find, for me as a college student, whether it's in classes or in events like this or things like that, meeting with people on Zoom or in this virtual platform, I find it a little bit more difficult to connect with people or read expressions or really engage and collaborate. So I'm just wondering if you could chat a bit more about how you navigated that challenge, since your work is so involved with collaboration, and really getting to know and getting to connect with the participants in your work.
That's a great question, Maggie. It's hard, it's not easy. So, I kept my workshops have been pretty small, so usually, the maximum signups I take are 20 people. And I pay stipends to people. So instead of people paying to take my workshop, I pay them to join and help me with my project. So it's a small group. And the first few times we actually went around, introduced ourselves and talked. We try to, I make everyone, they all sign waivers, and they have to have their camera on. The whole thing is recorded. There's pictures taken, so everyone's eyes are open. So, we try to really like breathe together. And, I told people this is something that where you really have to, and it's only 90 minutes. I know people burn out. My workshops used to be 2 hours. We've cut the Zoom workshops shorter. But I also have a co-facilitator, Maps Glover. And so the two of us sort of sometimes break up into breakout sessions as well to but it is hard. I agree with you. But I think, because it's been a small group from the beginning, and people really look forward to it. People have been saying, this is like family. This is our time together. And people really, a lot of the people have been working on my projects with me for like the last couple of years. So they do know each other. They've met in person, most of them before. So there is some camaraderie, but we had a bunch of new people join too. It's tough. It's not the same. It's been really hard. And so we are having an in-person workshop on May 6th with that same group outdoors. And that I think will be really great, to come together and actually like see each other face to face, and actually be able to have people do some stuff, on the sari, touch the sari, and do that. But yeah, it's not easy to be on Zoom.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful to hear. Any other questions from the audience for Monica? Feel free to just speak up or raise your hand.
I have a question.
Hey,
First of
Kiki,
all,
how are you?
hi. How are you? How you feeling?
Pretty good, thank you.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. We're looking forward to, Earth Day. Very much looking
Yeah,
forward to it.
my Earth Day slide back up.
Yeah. Um, Can you tell us a little bit about what will be happening
On Earth Day?
on Earth Day? Yeah.
Yeah, so Earth Day, Robin Bell and I are going to be in our studios. We're going to be, I think, using some special live stream software, and then we're gonna be talking, and we're gonna premiere a film. We're working on a film together about our project last year. You know, so many people didn't get to see it, and there's so much beautiful footage. So we're making a 10-minute film, and it's got and the soundtrack is being worked on right now too. A local musician, Sonia Herrera, in the film. So we're going to show that film, and then we're going to talk about our upcoming work. We're going to talk about climate justice, and what are the big issues happening right now, locally and globally with the environment. It's going to be, and we're going to have people sending us questions through the chat, and I'll have someone, moderate those and send them to us so we can answer those. And we're going to talk about also Concrete Dreams. It's a very exciting project that you all are helping with, but that's going to be that's a whole new direction that my work is going in. Is really focusing on the poetry that I really noticed my participants doing. They were like rapping and singing and reciting things, and I decided to take a cue from them and focus more on the poetry. So we've written some amazing poems. I'm like actually printing a lot of them out right now, the ones that were written on these Zoom workshops. And these poems are going to be hand drawn onto the saris, and they're also going to be made into small sculptures. Are going to be embedded with portions of the poems, and then some of the lines of the poems are also going to be made into projection art. So that's going to be on top of the building at the DC Art Center, and we're going to have the little sculptures on pedestals and tables on the street, basically in front of DC Art Center, and people can move them around. The idea is to be like, in the street, an outdoor event, in the middle of Adams Morgan. It's part of this sort of the nightlife, restaurant, streetery vibe coming, our city coming back after vaccinations, we hope, and trying to bring, and so people can touch the sculptures, move them around. Of course, people are going to wear masks and not get on top of each other, and we're going to have some limited numbers that can sign up in time slots, but people can move the sculptures around. We're going to have some poetry recitation on the street, and it's going to be for 4 whole days. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. In Adams Morgan, and during the day you'll just see the saris and the sculptures, and at night from 8 to 10 we're going to have the projections. And I think people can, people who feel comfortable, getting a drink in one of the restaurants can literally sit in and watch, or walk around and pick up an empanada or an ice cream. It's a very like sort of street event. So it's a different vibe from what we did in Georgetown last summer, which was more contemplative and a quiet place by the water. But the idea is really like, it's also these are like ordinary people that are making these poems and sculptures. They're not, they're not official artists or, but the idea is that the foundation of our city is like really our people that are here, and like their words and their dreams, should be celebrated and should be highlighted in a public way as part of public art. I really believe like in a new genre of public art, which is equitable and connects people. And if it takes technology to connect people, then that's what I want to do. And I think that public art needs to be way beyond just sculptures and murals. Although I love those things, this is something that the public is helping me build it, right? And they're getting paid for it, and some of them are getting tablets out of it, and they're learning. We're building a community, and we're building this art together. And so I hope that you all will come out, and I think there'll be opportunities for people that come to also join in and move the little sculptures around and take selfies and like be part of the art. So and add to it.
That is so exciting. I can't wait to see it and take part, and really, really excited to have you as a part of the TFA community. And we're really looking forward to making sure everything goes amazing, and I'm sure it will. So
Yay.
thank you so much.